Alright, hello people, this is Jacob, coming at you with a slightly different kind of video. This is going to be a more league-based, educational style video, talking about trading, particularly trading kills, trading objectives like Tower and Baron and Dragon and stuff like that, and trading flashes. That's something that I think is important to think about. A lot of people just say, hey, I'm the support, I've burned the 80 carries flash for my own, hashtag worth, but I think it's actually something a lot of people should think about in a more constructive way. So in the background, I'm going to be playing a bit of Hearthstone with my terrible priest deck. I'm not particularly good at Hearthstone, but yeah, just to have stuff going on. So talking about trading kills, kills are gold and experience, and I think if you're behind, it is always worth it to trade kill for kill, assuming even participation. So you get kill, they get kill, or you get kill assist, they get kill assist. I think it's worth it. The reason being is because what's primarily important in League is not the amount of gold difference between teams, which remains stagnant with this kind of trade, but it's the percentage gold difference, because 1,000 gold difference means a lot early in the game, when that 1,000 is a really large percentage, because what is that? That's a difference of maybe a cloth armor on the enemy top laner versus not on you. That's really important at 5 minutes, but 1,000 gold at 20, 25 minutes, not so much. That cloth armor isn't doing as much work if that's just the only difference. So League is a game of percentage difference, and that's what's primarily important. Now, the reason that's valuable to note, though, is because when you trade evenly on gold, you're actually decreasing the percentage difference between teams. Say you've got 10,000 gold, they've got 11. From your perspective, they've got 10% more than you. But you trade kill for kill, 300 for 300. It's now 10,300 to 11,300, and fuck, that's 9.1, 9.2% difference between the teams. So that's a slightly smaller number than it was before. You caught up a little bit, and that's really good to notice. Now, a lot of strategic thinkers are familiar with the game of chess, and like Skara, for example, he's always said that he's had a backing in competitive chess playing has really helped him. Now, chess is a game where it is never a good idea to trade while you're behind. The reason being is because, say, you've got 3 pieces and they've got 4, they've got 33% more than you. Trade piece for piece, now you've got 2, they've got 3, they've now got 50% more than you. The percentage difference just increased. Now, the reason that happens is because chess is a game of resource loss. You start with a certain number of resources. As you play the game, you lose pieces, the amount of total resources on the board goes down. Contrast that to League of Legends, where you start with a certain amount of gold, and everything you do increases that gold. It's a game of gaining resources. So the percentage difference works in an opposite way. I always think it's worth it to trade, particularly also in League of Legends, because shutdowns are often something that exists. So kill for kill is often highly worth it for you. Now, let's move on to talking about objectives. I want to talk particularly about towers, but I guess Baron and Dragon are also worth considering. So say you can trade tower for tower with the enemy team. Is it worth it? The answer, and this is not a cop-out, I swear, is it depends. It depends on which tower we're talking about. The reason that's the case is because towers, if they were just gold, yeah, sure, it would always be worth it to trade that if you're behind. But that's not all towers give you. Towers give you map access. They give you access to different parts of the map because they open that up for you. So say the enemy team is looking to take your mid-tier 2 and you're taking their top tier 2, right? Tier 2 towers for both teams, but I think it's actually more worth it for the enemy team taking your mid-tier 2 than yours taking their top one. Mid-tier 2 is probably the most important non-base turret, because it means you can, if that turret is gone, then you cannot move from your top side jungle to your bot side jungle without exposing yourself to a pick in the mid lane, unless you decide to go out of your base for it. Whereas their top tier 2, like what? You're losing this game, you're probably pushed in, you're not looking to make plays on their side of the map as actively as they are on yours. I should have done that first, I'm bad. So probably worth it for them. But let's think of it in a different scenario. They've been snowballing top and mid. They've taken your top outer and your mid outer, and they're looking to take your bot as well. Is taking their mid outer or top outer worth it? I say yes, because what pressure are they gaining out of that bot outer turret? Well, they're getting slightly more dragon control and access to your bot jungle, but they already have access to both of those things, because of their taking of the mid outer turret. So it's not as important of a turret, whereas you gaining that tower foothold is actually really important for you. So I think it's actually highly worth it. So, moral of the story, if we're in a land in which gold is the only difference between teams, then I would say, yeah, take those towers. But because gold isn't the only thing being swapped between teams, but also pressure, you have to think a lot more constructively about what that pressure is giving you. And so I think thinking about it like that can help you to make good decisions in your game. So the last one I want to talk about is flashes, trading flashes with the enemy team. You're, say, a support, and you're thinking of trading your flash with the enemy at 80 carries. Is it worth it? I want to talk about this one actually with an example, because this is heavily context dependent. It depends on the value of your flash. A flash is not a piece of gold. It does not have equal value. Your flash can be of high priority or low priority. Let's look at this as an example. So here, the purple side Annie support burns her flash for blue side's Ashe support, or Ashe AD carry. This is not worth it for purple side. How can you tell? So blue side's composition is pick focused. They have Vi or they have Ahri make a pick, and then transition that into a 4v5 team fight using Vi Nasus as the front line, Thresh to bodyguard Ashe, and Ashe to deal damage obviously, and then Ahri to wait on her spell reels. They've got a pick comp. Ashe's flash importance in that comp is actually rather low. It's just a flash for personal safety, and that's it. Purple side are a wombo-based team, kind of. You got Cho'Gath with his AoE, you got Azir's AoE, you got Xin Zhao with some AoE, but a lot of anti-synergy with his ultimate, you got the Jinx rockets, the Jinx splash, and you've got Annie and her AoE and her Tibbers and all that. But how is purple side going to reliably start a team fight? Unless we're talking about a miracle Cho'Gath queue, the sickest Azir insect of all time, or Xin Zhao getting an ult which miraculously does not split up blue side. The only reliable initiate they have is Annie's flash Tibbers. Her flash is incredibly high priority because it's the only way purple side is going to make a good team fight happen. So here, burning the highest priority flash on your team for one of relative low priority, because Ashe's flash isn't that important. She kind of has a second pseudo half flash because of Thresh. This is really not worth it for purple side. But let's think about this for a second, because it's not always this way. Let's swap the bot lanes. Let's say Jinx Annie is on blue side, and Thresh Ashe is on purple. All of a sudden, this is incredibly worth it. This is incredibly worth it, because Ashe's flash, if she were on purple, is actually really important, because that is avoiding a pick. That is dodging the Ahri charm, or pulling the Vi into your team, or flashing before the Tibbers hits you. That's incredibly valuable. Whereas the Annie flash on blue side isn't as high priority, because you don't depend on Annie for the initiate because you have Ahri, because you have Vi. It is not your keystone flash. So if that were the case, then sure, burning blue side Annie for purple side Ashe's flash would absolutely be worth it. Moral of the story is, don't just sit around thinking flash for flash is always worth it. You have to have that kind of thought process going on for you to make the right decision, and ultimately, after making the right decision, come out and win the game. So hopefully this was of some help to you. I really do hope it was. I don't want to sit around making things that don't matter. So please let me know. If you don't like it, tell me to get cancer. I don't know. But anyway, have a good day, and stay hydrated. Outro.